All right, let's dive into a fascinating clinical mystery. We're going to explore the incredibly complex wiring of the human body, but we're going to do it by trying to solve a puzzle that, at first glance, seems totally impossible. So picture this. You're the doctor, and a patient comes in with this just bizarre set of symptoms. Numbness on one side of her body, but weakness on the other. She can't feel vibrations in her left foot, but she can't feel a pinprick on her right side. How is that even possible? The symptoms are on opposite sides. It feels like a total contradiction. So, this is our central question. How can one single, tiny problem in one specific spot cause this wild pattern of symptoms? It seems like it has to be a mistake, right? But to solve it, we just need to understand how our bodies are actually wired. To get to the bottom of this, we need to talk about the two main sensory superhighways running from your body up to your brain. Now, they run side by side, but they carry very different kinds of information, and, this is the important part, they take slightly different routes to get there. Think of it like this. You've got a high-speed, high-fidelity fiber optic cable for precision data. That's your PCOM pathway. It's what tells your brain exactly where your arm is, even with your eyes closed. But then, you've got a separate, urgent alert system. That's the anterolateral system. This is for the critical stuff, the alarms, like, ow, that's sharp, or careful, that's hot. So, the takeaway here is that these two systems handle completely different sensations. The PCML pathway is all about fine-tuned stuff, like vibration and proprioception, that sense of where your body is in space. Meanwhile, the anterolateral system, or ALS for short, is for pain and temperature. And here's a cool little detail. Crude touch is carried by both. It's like a built-in backup system, which is pretty clever. Okay, now this slide, this is the absolute key to solving our entire puzzle. This is our cheat sheet. We've got three major pathways, one for motor control, and our two sensory pathways, the PCML and the ALS. But just look at that last column, crossover point. Notice something? Two of them cross way up high in the brainstem, but one of them crosses way, way down in the spinal cord. That little fact changes everything. So, let's follow the first signal. Imagine you feel the vibration from your phone buzzing in your left pocket. How does that signal actually get to your brain? Well, let's trace the journey of the PCML pathway. So that vibration signal enters the left side of your spinal cord, and it immediately starts heading up all on that same side, the left side. It doesn't cross over. Not yet. It goes all the way up, and only when it gets to the brainstem does it finally switch over to the right side of the brain. So just remember that. For a long time, it stays on the same side. And these pathways aren't just some jumbled mess of wires. Nope. They're meticulously organized. There's a principle for this called somatotopy, which is really just a fancy way of saying there's a map of your body laid out along these nerve tracts. And this just shows how incredibly specific that wiring is. In this PCML pathway, the nerve fibers from your feet are actually on the inside of the bundle. Then, as you move up the body, new fibers from, say, your arms get added to the outside. It's a perfect, organized map. It's pretty amazing. Okay, time for a second superhighway. Let's switch gears and talk about the journey of pain. This is going to paint a completely different picture. This time, imagine you step on a thumbtack with your right foot. Ouch! So that pain signal zips into the right side of your spinal cord, but look at this. It doesn't wait, it doesn't hang around. It synapses and crosses over to the left side almost immediately, within just a few segments of the spinal cord. And then it travels all the way up to the brain, but on the opposite side from where it started. And there it is. That's the solution to the whole mystery. That's the aha moment. The PCML pathway for vibration stays on the same side and crosses high up in the brain. But the ALS pathway for pain, it crosses way down low almost as soon as it gets in the door. These different crossover points, that's the whole game. So we know how the signals travel. We know their routes. But where are they all going? Well, both of these superhighways, the PCML and the ALS, are ultimately headed for the exact same central hub in the brain. They just have to pass through a really critical sorting center first. Yup, both the pain signals and the vibration signals, no matter which crazy route they took, are aimed for the thalamus. You can seriously think of it as the brain's grand central station. It's where pretty much all incoming sensory info, everything except for smell actually, gets processed and then relayed to the correct destination. And what's so cool is how organized this station is. It has specific hubs, or nuclei, for each type of information.
Sensations from your body, they go to the VPL. Vision, that goes to the LGN. An easy way to remember that is lateral for light, and hearing goes to the MGN. Just think medial for music. It's just an incredibly efficient switchboard.
All right, we have all the pieces now. We know the two main pathways, and most importantly, we know they have totally different crossover points. So let's go back to our patient and finally crack this case. Okay, let's do a quick review. Numbness and loss of pain on her right side, but weakness and loss of vibration on her left side. Now that we know about the wiring, where could one single area of damage possibly be? And the answer is a lesion on just one side of the spinal cord. Specifically, a lesion that damages the left half of the cord. Let's break down exactly why this one spot can create such a confusing mix of symptoms.
Okay, let's connect the dots. First, her left leg is weak. Why? Because the lesion hits the motor pathway on the left side on its way down. Makes sense. Second, her left foot loses vibration sense. Why? Because the lesion hits the PCML pathway, which is still traveling up on that same left side before it gets a chance to cross, in the brainstem. And now for the kicker. Why is pain lost on the right side? Because those pain signals from her right leg had already crossed over to the left side way lower down. So as they were traveling up the cord, they ran right into the lesion. One spot, three totally different effects. It all makes perfect sense now.
And this just beautifully illustrates a fundamental rule of neurology. It's all about location, location, location. The solution wasn't some strange disease affecting different nerves. It was a problem at a very specific intersection of the body's superhighways. So this unbelievably complex, crisscrossing wiring doesn't just solve a cool medical mystery. It literally creates our entire experience of the world and of our own bodies, which kind of leaves us with a final, bigger thought. If our whole sense of self is built on this specific, intricate wiring, what does it mean when that wiring gets changed or starts to fade?